You're watching National Streaming Sports. Over 20 podcasts, 70 shows, and a 3.5-star rating on Roku TV. Check out nessp.info for direct links and deals on the site Bet Us for 125% off your first three deposits in NFL and college odds for upcoming games, Major League Baseball and NBA futures, and boxing wagers. Also, check out Fanatics, sportswear for your favorite teams, and also network merchandise, retro, Northeast Streaming Sports, National Streaming Sports, Big Football, and the Mac and Jack Sports Show t-shirts. Coffee mugs are coming soon. Check it out. NFL Download with the Mac Man and J Train.
In 13 when he took over. So 1 year wouldn't have been enough.
And he went down. And he went down 1-15. And he went down to 1-15. And then if he didn't get that draft, who knows what he would have been? And Tom Landry would have never been the coach of the Cowboys. He got worse. He got worse. He got worse. The team got worse under him in the beginning.
The first year.
The first wrong thing you're saying. The first wrong thing you're saying is them. The Raiders are ready to win. Ready to win what? What are the Raiders ready to win? They're going to win the division? They're going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs?
Wait. They did.
They're going to beat the Baltimore Ravens in a playoff?
Wait.
He's a football coach. He's a leader of guys that are knocking each other's heads off. What is he supposed to tell you? Sing kumbaya and hold hands and just sit around and play duck, duck, goose? I mean, what are you supposed to do? It's football, man. I mean, he's trying to motivate you, and he really didn't want him. I agree with you. He didn't want him. But that's not his guy. I mean, this is a business. So, I mean, I'm telling you, like, look, you're not the guy that I want. I mean, I don't think you're good. I think you're not the right person for this team. Man up and say, okay, maybe I am the man for this team. I don't.
NFL Download, your first look at Sunday's games on the Roku. Wow, James. That's all I could say. Just wow. I mean, what a change from week one to week two. Of course, James is all happy as Saints bury the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, it wasn't even close, the final score. James I couldn't catch all the highlights before the game, but he was 44-19, James. I mean, what happened with the offense of the Dallas Cowboys today and the defense?
The Saints defense happened. They shut them down, man. And then offense out the gate, all 200, 600 horsepower. They just went full throttle, man, and just went down their throats. And they didn't let off the gas at all until the end, when they nailed down when the score was 44-19. And, like I said, I'm all for it. So I got to yell out, who that? Who that? Who that saying they're gonna beat them Saints?
Yes.
Not the top, not them boys.
No. And that was at home in front of the owner who just paid, two people a lot of money, CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. And from what I got on my notes here, Dak, he throws for 293 yards, one touchdown, but two interceptions. Carr has 243 yards, two touchdowns, and a interception. The running game, the Saints, I really didn't look at it. I don't know how they did. What did that look like tonight, James?
So Alvin Kamara had over 100 yards, and he had one reception for 57 yards. That one long run, and we dominated the run at all facets. Everybody ran the ball. Jamal Williams, Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara. And the offensive line in that scheme, I think the biggest difference now for the Saints versus last season is the offensive coordinator, and that's Clint Kubiak coming out of this Kyle Shanahan system. Yeah. They run in a wide zone offense, and we look at it. We just drafted Talise Fuanga, and if you watch some of the film, and when you go back and watch some of the film, number 75, he's just dominated. There's nobody. And Michael Parsons, they kept him in check. He couldn't even get to the quarterback. He even sniffed the quarterback. So it was just the scheme, all the motions and everything was just different. Again, I'm all for it, Mac.
I can listen 2-0, man. I mean, you guys are sitting first, but you're sitting first with another team that pulled up upset. The Detroit Lions were favored to go to one of the favorites to go to the Super Bowl. Nobody talks about Tampa Bay. Goff has an off game. He throws for a couple interceptions. Baker only throws for 185 yards and one touchdown, one interception, but he did run one in. That's the thing about Baker Mayfield. He isn't fast. He's not one of those quarterbacks that has blazing speed. He's just quick. He's quick. He's
slippery.
And very slippery. That's the word I'm looking for. I mean, listen, good for Baker this year. They're 2-0 tied with you guys. And, of course, nobody expected Tampa Bay to go in there and beat Detroit.
I mean, let me say this. Hats off to Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield is doing what he's supposed to do. He's not turning the ball over. He's throwing touchdowns. 4 last game. He won this game. One on the ground as well. He even got one on the ground, 11 yards, like you said. And their defense is doing what they're supposed to do. With that said, the domination was on the side of the Lions.
Right.
You get over 400 plus yards of offense. You dominate fourth down. They had 3 of 5 fourth downs. That you dominated the third down. You dominate the time of possession. You dominate everything except the one category that matters, is not turning the ball over. Jared Goff threw two interceptions, and if it wasn't for 2 drops by the DBs, it would have been 4.
Wow,
that's pretty bad, man. And also at the end of the game, the score was 20-16. They got into the red zone at the end of the game, but they had to go for a touchdown because the coach blundered at the end of the half and got them a penalty, and they ran the clock off. They were trying to score a field goal. They get 3 points there. They're in position to win the game at the end of the game, but they couldn't do that. They messed up at the end of the first half.
Well, that's football, right? You can have all the greatest stats in the world. The only stat that means anything is the W. And, you're going to look back at this game, and you're not going to say a lot of different things except Tampa Bay upset Detroit. So, that's a very competitive division over there right now as Minnesota. I think shocks San Francisco. We thought it might be a good game. We talked about it earlier on the Big Football Show, right? We said this could be a close game, but I didn't think anyway that Minnesota would beat San Francisco, especially after what San Francisco did to Cleveland the week before.
Same. I just wasn't expecting. I thought maybe it was a little bit of. I mean, Minnesota has a good defense. I like Brian Flores, and I think he coaches well defensively. I just wasn't expecting him to go up against the way the 49ers shellacked the Jets. I just thought they would come in and dominate as well there in Minnesota. But, man, was I wrong. I was totally wrong. I mean, they sacked him, I think, 5 to 6 times.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I mean, listen, Brock Purdy played okay. I mean, he threw for over 300 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. But if, you get constant pressure on you like that and you get sacked, that's a turnover. That's a turnover of downs, or it's a throw that could have been made that maybe keeps a drive alive. So, hey, hats off to Minnesota. Again, 2-0. They beat the Giants 2 weeks ago, and now they beat a Super Bowl what do you want to say? I mean, they're a Super Bowl favorite, right? And here's Minnesota saying, well, maybe you're not such a Super Bowl favorite. 23-17, they win. Darnold has 17 for 26 for 2 TDs and interception. Justin Jefferson, 4 receptions, 133 yards. I mean, listen, we all know how good Justin Jefferson is. Listen, Minnesota, I don't know who they're playing next. But that's a tough division. That's a tough division that they're playing in right now. And right now they're ahead of the Lions. And guess what? Green Bay says, well, guess what? Maybe we don't need Jordan Love this game. Maybe our defense is, and what I said earlier was that defense was going to have to step up for them to win. And not that Willis did a bad job, because he didn't. He didn't turn the ball over either. But You got a great running back. They used him, and that worked out. They kept the ball away from the other team, but their defense stepped up because that's the biggest question mark Green Bay had this year, James.
Yes. So the defense improved, and again, when it comes down to football, X's and O's matter, and also great coaching matters. And I like Matt LaFleur. I just think he's out of that Kyle Shanahan tree. I figured when we talked about it earlier, and I heard Pat say that Malik Willis is hot garbage. I just didn't think that. I think you might not be a good fit in a certain offense, a certain scheme. And I thought for them to take him for him to be a backup, it's got to be something the coach sees in him that he can utilize for him to win games, 1 or 2 games if need be. And here we are. He has him in a situation where he's efficient, 12 or 14, 122 and a TD, and no interceptions. He had a high passer rating. That's what matters. And they knew they were going to rely on Josh Jacobs as the ground game. They gave him 32 touches, and he had 156 yards and a touchdown. So, yeah, I think they have an opportunity to stay within the hunt without Jordan Love.
Right. And you're not looking for Willis to be a franchise quarterback here. All you're looking for him to do is to fill in as some quarterbacks did, like Gardner Minshew. We're going to get to them in a second. Each step in, keep him on track, whether it's 3 or 4 games, whatever it is. If you can just keep him afloat, if you can win 2 and lose 1 or what, just keep him in the hunt. And he did that today against a really good team. So listen, I'm all for Green Bay, and that's just, to me, that's team football, right, James? Everybody steps up when your star goes down, and they played it well. So Green Bay.
Before you go to the next one, I want to give a side note. Let's go back to the Minnesota. Just one thing. Jordan Jefferson hurt his quad, so that's something to watch. I know they already without Addison, and so it's we don't know what's going to happen. He said he'll be fine, but again, he hurt his quad. He had to leave the game, so that's something to watch.
Yes, definitely for the next week. So let's get to maybe the biggest surprise of the whole Sunday. The Raiders beat Baltimore 26-23. Minshew has a good game, throws 276 yards, a touchdown, interception, a bunch of field goals. Jackson has 1 TD, 1 interception. Ravens dropped to 0-2, James. And we talked about this before the show, right? I mean, it's only the first 2 games. This is just kind of getting your team all together before you start. But this is a big loss. This is a game they should win. Okay, San Fran came up and ended up winning at the end there at the game, and Baltimore kind of blew their chance. And that's what happens. It happens in football. But you have some games you should win, that you are more talented than this team, that you're just better than this team. The Raiders have a good defense, good, not great, and their offense is okay. There is no way they come into your house and beat you. This to me is even worse, believe it or not, than to me the Saints trouncing Dallas, because Baltimore, we're saying, a lot of people saying they're going to the Super Bowl this year. And right now, I don't know if there's going to be panic next week. I know I heard before this game, the Ravens are ticked and, Jackson's mad and everybody's mad and blah, blah, blah. Well, do something on the field. And we talked about Derrick Henry. We've talked about the running game with a lot of teams here. He gets the ball 18 times, up 5 carries from the week before. He has, almost 100 yards. He has a touchdown. Give him the ball some more. That guy could carry the ball 20, 25 times. And then all of a sudden, you're in a position where you're wearing down the Raider defense at the end of the game, and maybe you win it. Like I said, I didn't see a lot of highlights, but I do know one thing. With the smaller defenses out there right now, and we talked about this too, James, the smaller defenses, the running game is more important than it's ever been since going back to maybe the 80s, 90s.
I agree with you. I think this is a letdown, because this is a game you're supposed to win if you're Baltimore. Especially at home. You're supposed to beat this team. You're not supposed to let them come in and upset you. they let them hang around in the game. You let someone, you keep letting them drag along, they're going to find a way to win. Devontae Adams is no slouch, and he showed it in this game. Got 110 yards and a touchdown, and he had critical catches in key moments. You just can't allow a team to hang around, and they did, man. They just, like you said, had they continued to give carries to Derrick Henry, I think they just get first downs after first downs, and you got to force them to play up close, and you can I don't know, I just don't get it. I don't understand the coaching on this one, because now you put yourself in a hole. Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is this year, what Coach Harbaugh said was that it's all Jackson's offense. He's calling everything on the line of scrimmage. And when you do that, when you get that responsibility to somebody like that, all the offense is his. Now, do you blame Jackson for calling these plays and not running the ball more? I mean, do you blame anybody? Do you just say it's 0-2 and they're going to regroup? I mean, what do you do?
If it's me, I blame Harbaugh, because you know what you have in Lamar Jackson. You know who he is. He's been there long enough to say, okay, you feel like you can trust him with this position, and you've seen your quarterback in key moments not come in the clutch in the biggest games. This isn't even a big game. This is not something that they put themselves in a hole here. They're 0-2, and they got a rough schedule coming up. The next 3 games are potentially losses. We're talking about in Dallas, Buffalo, and Cincinnati, respectively. I would keep the play calling in the coach's hands and allow Lamar, to do what he does as a player. But I wouldn't. I just don't respect, or I don't think he has it to just control a game.
Yeah,
at least he hasn't shown.
Right now, Cincinnati's punting the ball away. They're up by 2 on San Francisco. There's 2 minutes left, 2:35. San Fran's got the ball. Let's see if KC's got the ball, excuse me. Let's see if Patrick Mahomes has that 2-minute drive left in him to come back and put this away. Right now, Pittsburgh is ahead of Denver 13-6. 6 with that last field goal, as there's a minute 53 left. So they're going to need a touchdown and a touchdown and a field goal. 13-6-7. Now they need a touchdown to tie it. So they are Denver's hanging in there right now. So
Denver had an opportunity to score earlier, and Bo Nix threw a big bomb to one of his receivers, and he caught it. But in the red zone, he threw an interception in the end zone.
I saw that. I did see. So right now, again, Pittsburgh's up 13-6 with a minute 54 left. 2-minute warning. Cincinnati's ahead by KC 25-23. So the Chargers, and I don't know if you just feel bad for the Carolina Panthers or, listen. I don't know what to say with this team here. Herbert goes 14 for 20 for 2 touchdowns, interception. Bob Robbins, 131 yards rushing. This is what Harbaugh is all about. Strong defense, good running game, play action pass for Herbert, gives him plenty of time to pass. Bryce Young throws for 84 yards, interception. He was just chased all over the field. It doesn't seem like there's any kind of plan for Carolina right now. And that's what listen, you're going to get beat by a lot of teams this year. They really are. But there's no plan for improvement. I don't see them running the ball more, trying to establish, blitz the deep blitz, do something. I don't see anything when I watch the highlights of that game. I saw nothing.
They had opportunities to make some off-season moves. They did, but it just didn't work out. And we're looking at they picked up guards, I guess, that weren't great where they were, and they just replaced guys that they weren't great on their own team. So, and now you look, it seems like nothing's coming into fruition, but digging themselves into a bigger hole. I really feel bad for Carolina, and I feel bad with the quarterback, but this is where they are right now. This is the organization, and there's this reflection. Because if you look back, Carolina has had some really good years. They've had some really good teams. Just where they've gone now, it's just unfortunate, and I think it all starts by them probably giving up the farm by selecting Bryce Young.
Yeah, and it's going to hurt them next year too, because I think there's a couple of draft picks that were in this following year, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if they had a draft picks in the third year or not. I'm not sure. But anyway, I 26-3, no offense at all. And like I said, it's not like they played a high-powered offense. Chargers are establishing, Jim Harbaugh football, and that's what they're doing, and that's what he wants.
You see it. Run the ball heavy. I don't need Herbert to throw 300 yards. He threw like a modest 150 or something like that.
130 yards.
2 touchdowns too.
Yeah. So it was all about Robbins just pounding the ball and pounding the ball and pounding the ball. That's really all they had to do. So, hey, listen, maybe the Chargers are good for a wild card this year. I didn't think so, but maybe they will be. Who knows?
I mean, Jim is Jim. But again, it's only 2 games in. We'll have to see. But J.K. Dobbins is looking pretty good in that backfield.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, big time. So Cleveland had a terrible week last week. They end up beating Jacksonville, and I'm a little nervous for the Jags right now because listen, the Jags had a rough start last week. Cleveland really isn't that good. Listen, Deshaun Watson throws for 186 yards. Trevor Lawrence throws for 220 yards. But I don't know what's up with Jackson. I don't know what's up with Trevor Lawrence and that team right now. I mean, they were supposed to be getting better and better and better, and then they're just kind of stagnant right now. Deshaun Watson gets booed by his own fans there, and I don't blame him. It's not like he threw for a bunch of touchdowns. It's 18-13. It's not like Cleveland was great. But listen, Trevor Lawrence and the Jags right now, what do you make of them? I mean, listen, it's only 2 games. You're right. But, Jackson, the Jaguars are supposed to be one of the top teams, at least a wild card team this year, I think.
I mean, this Trevor Lawrence and his team seem to be doing what they always do. They don't do well in the beginning, and they make a resurgence or make a run towards the latter half of the season. Who knows? Maybe they're just slow starters. I just can't, like you said, I can't put a finger on it, but it all points back that every time I hear something about Trevor Lawrence and what Jack said, he only gives you a nickel towards $1.
Yes.
Yes. And he's got $275 million for that type of play. Yeah. I'm just not, and these are 2 high-priced quarterbacks that are giving mediocre play, and that's just not what if I'm an owner, that's not what I want to see.
Yeah, so, it seems like when they get that big contract, something happens to them. It happened to Jalen Hurts last year. It's happening to Trevor Lawrence this year. It's happened to Tua before he got hurt. It happens to Dak right now. Everyone getting that big money right now is not performing. It's weird, right?
I can see why owners are shaky by giving that kind of money, because are these guys going to play like they were playing before the contract? Continue to be motivated, continue to be hungry, going to, try galvanizing your team to try to win, to get towards the Super Bowl. Yeah, it's just, I mean, and the thing is, a lot of money's guaranteed, man. A lot is guaranteed. So, I mean, and these guys are young. I don't know the mentality of young people. It's like, okay, I got my money now. I can retire, or shut it down in about 4 or 5 years. I don't have to play. I heard Michael Strahan say they don't have to play 15 years anymore.
No,
they don't.
No, they don't. Not to make a living, that's for sure. Seattle goes and beats New England in New England 23-20. If you're betting, and remember that top that QR code at the top right of your screen, that will bring you right to Bet Us. If you want to bet tonight's game or Monday night's game, it's a push if you were betting. Geno Smith has a really good game. He throws for 327 yards. I was a little worried about the Patriot defensive backfield against those wide receivers. But listen, New England hangs in there. They had a field goal blocked at the end, if I saw the right highlight. It's not like they got blown off the field again. So that could have been a tie. Listen, New England is a tough team. Seattle, to me, is still an average team. they beat the Patriots, and I don't know what you take away from that, James, except that Seattle won their game.
I'm more surprised and impressed with the Patriots and a loss than I am with this type of win for Seattle. Yeah, so I agree because the expectations for New England was just to be abysmal,
Right?
And here they are. They're 1-1. They were on the verge of 2-0.
And they got the Jets
with a pretty good defense. They got a good run game, and the quarterback's not giving up the ball as well.
Yeah, and the Jets are up next after this win they had against Tennessee. Now, listen, Rodgers wasn't great by Rodgers standards, but I don't think we can know what Rodgers standards is right now because he's coming back really after being out all year. And he throws 176 yards, 2 touchdowns. Hall had 62 yards. But the big thing was the rookie, number 0. Number 0 was catching the ball for a touchdown, and it was a little shuttle pass. It wasn't like and a nice run. So listen, the Jets have a decent team. They have a good team, I think. I think they're going to maybe be around for the wild card at the end of the year. Maybe not, depending on what happens with Miami and the rest of the wild card teams there. But, it seems that the Jets kind of regrouped, and now they're 1-1, James, right?
I picked them to win that division, and I'm going to stand by that. I think they're going to get better. I think they're going to continue to get better. This is a tough game. I thought they would dominate this game, but they didn't. They didn't at all. They barely won this one.
we have Jay McLovin coming in, and I think he's coming.
Oh man,
because I know he was ready to give me hell about my Giants, and I know he's going to talk trash about Daniel Jones. And now here comes Jay McLovin, and he's a big Cowboys fan. Right now, a quick update. The Chiefs are set up for a field goal with 18 seconds left, down by 2. Let's see what happens here. Let's bring up Jay. There's my man. Yes.
I can't do it no more. I'm done. I'm sick and damn tired of getting beat to the point where I got to put a bag on my face because I don't want people to know who I am.
Jay, I am shocked. I'm shocked.
Bag. Tell me where the bag on my head. I'm so embarrassed.
James is not shocked. Now, James is a New Orleans Saint fan. So
I don't like you
Dallas.
already.
Hey, you know what?
It's not your fault.
I have salt over here. I know you're wounded. I wasn't going to pour any salt in your wounds. I was going to let you just go ahead and lick your paws and just and wallow in your misery.
I got way too many. Look, I got to do a PAGS probably on Monday on Coast to Coast. It's not a good day, man. The only thing that makes me feel good is to know that you got Daniel freaking Jones. If it wasn't for that, there would be no silver lining in my life. 0.
What to be honest with you, Daniel Jones threw for 2 touchdowns, and they also the defense is really what let the Giants down. And they gave up 5 field goals. We didn't have our kicker, so we had to go for 2-point conversions on every time we scored, and we couldn't kick field goals because we didn't have a kicker. So I mean, listen, Jones had a decent game. He played okay. Didn't turn the ball over. Had a couple of touchdowns. I knew he would play good against the Commanders. For some reason, he always plays good against Washington. But I still want to talk about the Cowboys. I'm sorry, I do.
Yeah, so here's the deal with that, right? I watched that game with a couple of my buddies, and they gave me hell too because they're Houston Texans fans, and rightfully so. I mean, I am in the Houston area, but here's the thing with that, right? We came out flat. The Cowboys came out. Number 1, they came out flat. Number 2, they weren't prepared. It almost looked like the Green Bay Packers playoff game of last year, quite honestly, because. Number 1, I am going to keep it real, though. We didn't have Bland, which is our, obviously Bland left the NFL last year in interceptions, but he was obviously on the IR. So we had Wilson come in, and then they had Hooker over the top, and they still got outbeat. Literally got outbeat. I mean, if you saw that, they were outbeat. Not only were they outbeat once, but they were on vacation when the tight end caught the damn pass with nobody around him. Like, he's probably like, yeah, this is my day.
So, Mac, I got it. I wasn't going to say anything. But I got to see you, man. You are a typical Cowboys fan, man. You're making all the excuses, brother. Come on.
Excuses. Hold on. Time out now. Hold on. Time. I'm gonna cut you.
Wait a minute. Hold on. No. I'll let you go. Let me say something.
I'm with that bag in my head. How many excuses can I possibly make? I mean, seriously. Don't let me look.
But you took the bag off. You took the bag off, and you said you didn't have Bland. We didn't have Marshawn Lattimore. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell you there, brother.
Listen, the only one that got excuses is Kamala because she got a plan, but nobody knows what the damn plan is. Here's the deal. Hold on. Here's the deal, right?
Good.
Look, I'm going to tell you right now, Jerry Jones, listen, I know you're a great businessman, but you suck at GM because you pick these damn coaches that are outrated, overdone. Look, Zimmer, this is Zimmer's second time around with the Cowboys. We all know that. And I'm going to tell you right now, Mike McCarthy, you're on notice. And Zimmer, when you take over this group, because that's what's going to happen, you're going to be on notice too because you ain't got a plan. Maybe you got to
So wait a minute. You're telling me that so what you did against Cleveland was a fluke? And what you did, because you're not giving the Saints any credit at all. You're not giving the Saints any credit.
Did you watch the Cleveland game? Are you talking out your ass, or did you watch the Cleveland game? Because I will tell you why. Everybody knows why we won that game. We won that game because Deshaun Watson is not Deshaun Watson of the Houston Texans before all the Deshaun Gates came into play. Okay,
right. Part of it.
Let's keep it real.
But
Let's not gaslight. Let's not do the presidential debate all over again. Let's move on from that. As Kamala says, let's turn the page. Okay, let's turn the damn page. Okay.
So Jay,
we won the game because he couldn't be effective throwing the damn ball. We all know that.
Jay, the thing that was the worry before the season was that you only really have one good wide receiver, that your backfield was a little old, and that you would have.
Otis putting it nicely. No. Okay. Seriously, Otis. No. Hold on, back. Let's take that. Let's take that one statement and let's break it really down. We have the oldest running back tandem in NFL history. Now, Matt, I'm going to ask you a question. I know you're a football historian. Who had the oldest one before the Cowboys? Do you know? Let me help you out because I know you don't know. It's the 1926 Bears. That's how far you got to go back to find out who had the oldest running back. And I guarantee their names that you wouldn't even know about.
Yes, and I would not know about it. But but those were some concerns. Stopping the run was a concern too. After the Green Bay game when they got bullied at the end there. So they didn't make the corrections, is what you're saying, Jay, to maybe pick up that back or pick up that.
You know what the worst part about it is, Mac? Hold on. Let's talk about what the worst part of that defense is. No, let's break it down. Mike McCarthy told specifically, him and Zimmer went to Michael Parsons and said, you got the keys to the defense. You got the keys. Okay. Well, did he lose them? Did he leave them in the parking lot? Because they sure as hell weren't on the field. Seriously, they weren't on the field at all. So don't come at me telling me I got excuses because I'm telling you all of it. We screwed it up. We shit the bed. Seriously, there's
So you're saying that you guys lost the game versus us winning the game?
Because we didn't come out to play. Look, I'm sorry. Hold on, time out. If
you're not giving the Saints any credit at all. You're not giving the Saints credit.
Did you watch the game? Did you watch the game? Because I watched it. Did you watch it? Okay.
We beat your asses.
How does a tight end get in the end zone all by his damn self and think you won the game and we didn't fuck it up? Come on now. Come on. Let's be real. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it 100.
Well, Jay,
come on, man.
Listen. There's two trains of thought here. First of all, if Dallas lost by 3 points because they made a mistake, I give it to you. But when you get beat 44-19, you got beat. You just got beat.
Okay, so again, but did
Thank you.
I'm talking about, did they beat us? Or did we? Are we just not good enough to win the game? No. Did you beat us, or did we
you got beat. Oh my goodness, this is the Cowboys fan for real, man.
Jay, listen.
Hold on. We rushed 21 for 68, no touchdowns. That's less than 4 yards a game, or 4 yards an average, or 4 yards a carry, right?
So the Saints
293, 1 and 2.
Right? So the defense of the Saints, the defense
1 and 2 and 3 sacks.
the defense of the Saints stopped your running game, intercepted Dak Prescott, and sacked Dak Prescott.
Well, the interception, if you watched it, was it the first one or the second? Because I believe he had 2 picks, I think, on the game. One of them, and it went into his hands.
Yeah.
Now the other one, I believe the other one, the wide receiver, it went into his hands and it came out of his hands and into the other guy. I mean, that wasn't 100% Dak's fault. But the problem with the Cowboys today. Look, here's the deal. We got outscored every single quarter, right? 14-3, 21-13, 6-3, 3-0. Okay. If you look at it, we were down 38 to what? 16 and a half? That's straight up defense not executing. Straight up. And if you watch the game, you saw it all over the field. There was 3 times that our defensive backs weren't even there. So yeah, you played a good game. Don't get it twisted. I even said in a TikTok video with the bag over my head that I gave you all the credit, all the respect, all the honors, because you did. I'm not saying you didn't, but at the same time, I'm also saying we shit the bed, and we weren't ready for that game. It clearly showed that our defense was not ready, and that's clearly going on Mike Zimmer and Parsons not doing what they're supposed to be doing. It also goes down to our cornerbacks getting beat. That's where y'all beat us over the top. We had 4 eyes on you, and we still got beat.
Jay, yes, you made a lot of mistakes, and but I didn't hear you cutting the Giants slack when the Giants made mistakes and lost to Minnesota. You didn't say, "Oh well." Daniel Jones was getting Daniel Jones. He got intercepted. If it wasn't for the pick 6 when he was getting hit, he got sacked 6 times and he couldn't throw it. We didn't have no excuses, and I didn't make no excuses with the Giants. The Minnesota Vikings beat them. They just beat him. And I'm not going to make. I am not going to sit here. I am not going to sit here and let you make excuses for Dallas.
Well, you're going to sit there. Not only going to sit there.
I'm going to sit here. I'm going to sit here. I am not going to let you say that because you failed to execute, because you were totally beaten every phase of the game by the Saints. That's why you lost. Listen.
Again, I said it right at the beginning. We were not.
It's one game, yes, but I think you sandbagged us, Jay. You sandbagged us because we thought you were coming in here just to say we got beat. You have a list. You have a list. I know you look like you look like Chris Kringle, and you had your list and you twice and saying
much better than I do.
This is why. All right, Jay. So you gonna stick around with us for the other scores, my friend? You want to stick around with us? You got to get out.
I'll stick around.
All right.
I do want to say on record, though, I did not give excuses. I clearly told you how bad we were. There's no excuse there.
Yes. Okay. So our next game we were talking about the Jets. We're done with that. So we get to my team, the Giants against Washington. Jaden Daniels throws for 226 yards, 76 yards. Sorry. No TDs. Robinson a monster game rushing. Listen, the running game is coming back in the NFL, Jay. You notice the running backs are becoming the stars again. The team that runs the ball the best is winning. They're beating these smaller defenses. They're beating defenses with all these quick little linebackers, with the safeties playing up, extra defensive backs. The offenses are saying, great, stay up there. Do that. Guess what? We're going to run the ball on you, and that's what's happening now. The Redskins, Robinson, 133 rushes. Jones goes for 178 yards, 2 TDs. Neighbors with a big game, 10 receptions, 127 yards, 1 touchdown. We didn't have a field goal kicker. Not an excuse. We lost.
Christian, though, and I agree with you that the running game is coming back. I totally agree with that. I just think it's interesting that the fact that the running game is now becoming a huge factor, but yet we still pay them like third-class citizens compared to everybody else. I mean, think about
100% right. 100%.
What? Put the cap at a running back, maybe $10 million if you're a Jonathan Taylor, and everybody else gets what, less? So we're paying them like third-class citizens, but yet we're giving them the bigger workload. Wow, that's an American way right there.
They're going to start getting paid, though, Jay. They're going to start.
I bet you they will, too. Yeah, I bet you they will. And they should because, think about it, the running back probably has one of the shortest lifespans in terms of your career in the NFL. So they really should get paid for what their body goes through. The fact that we're not, to me, is a shame. We're giving all these quarterbacks the Quan, and we give them food stamps.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And I think this is going to start. It's a cyclical thing. Me and Jim Jeffcoat talked about it, right? They want to catch up with the offense because the offense is throwing. So now they get all these edge rushers. They're drafting them high. They're drafting these cornerbacks, defensive backs. They got the hybrid linebackers. And now the offense says, well, guess what? We're going to run on you now. So the defense, again, within the next couple of years, is going to have to adjust. It's a big cyclical and interesting. What did you think about Arizona blowing the Rams the hell out of the water in Arizona, James? I mean, 41-10, no Nuka Uka. Kupp gets knocked out of the game. Arizona, I'm trying to remember the running back's name real quick. I know you got it off the top of your head right now.
James
Kills him on the ground. Kyle Murray has a great game for Kyle Murray. I mean, they just dominated the Rams. I didn't see that coming, James.
And a coming out party for Marvin Harrison Jr. as well. I kind of thought it would be close. I didn't know it was going to be like this. I didn't think it was going to be a blow. I thought it was going to be a closer game, but maybe a high scoring game. But they just seem to be on all cylinders, even the defense. So what I saw last week against the Bills, they look to be for real. They can score points. And they did that without Marvin Harrison Jr. So it's going to be pretty scary to see what goes on in the NFC West, considering that the 49ers look vulnerable against a really good defense. And who else is in the West? Seattle. Seattle they seem to be. I think Seattle's probably going to be on the bottom. Looking the way that this team looks here, it's going to be a fight between the 49ers and the Arizona Cardinals.
I wouldn't go that far yet.
I'm sorry,
Jay. I wouldn't go that far. But I would say that Arizona is a sleeper team this year. They may sneak in the playoffs.
They're a dark horse for sure.
I'll tell you, I don't, if you notice though, when game, especially saw it in week 1, there was definitely a rift between, or definitely no chemistry at least in the very first part of that week, where Harrison and Murray, there was a rift between those two. So I'm guessing Gannon must have pulled them aside and said, y'all better figure this out, because we went and got you probably one of the best weapons outside of Justin Jefferson that you could possibly have. And I think that's what happened, because they finally got past it, and Marvin Harrison finally got what he should have gotten in week 1 from Kyler Murray. So good job, Kyler Murray, finally realizing, hey, this is not my enemy. This is the guy that we can both make each other,
Right. And last year, the Cardinals were very aggressive. They didn't win a lot of games. They did beat the Cowboys. They had a couple upsets last year. They were a very physical team. The coach motivates them very well. And maybe, just maybe, they're in the playoff hunt this year as a wild card team.
By the way, shout out to McPherson, the tight end. I mean, if you didn't notice that guy, he had a monster game today. I mean, still having a monster game because the game's not over yet. So McPherson really, really showed out as well.
McBride?
Or McBride. I'm sorry. I know I said McPherson.
Yeah.
I apologize. Thank you.
He is having.
But yeah, McBride. Right. I'm sorry. Thank you for the correction.
KC squeaks it out at the end, as they always do. They didn't cover. If you bet KC, if you bet Cincinnati with the points, you won that 24-23. They went back and forth. Listen, the Cincinnati Bengals looked a lot better this week than they did the week before. Joe Burrows looked a lot better than he did the week before. And Cincinnati always starts off slow. KC, what are you going to say? KC, they're not out of the game. You got to put them away. You got to put them away in the first half, and you got to keep putting them away. You cannot let KC back or close to being back in the game, guys.
Hey, and we need to bring up the fact that Jamar Chase really screwed over Joe Burrow in that offense. I understand you got a hip drop, and he was pissed off about it. You say it one time to the referee, you let him know, and then you move the hell on. The fact that he had to keep going for a second dig put them back an additional 15, which completely screwed that drive over. They were actually moving the ball and probably could have got into, maybe add another 3 additional points on there. But the fact that he went in there and had to throw his little jaw jab cost him additional 15, which actually put him, I think, 25 yards down at third down. I mean, come on, Jamar, you gotta be smart. You held out for all the Quan only to screw your team over. Now, what the hell? I'm sorry, you need to have a deduction in your salary, sir, and you brought that on yourself.
Music.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. Man, so that might really cost me the team. Yeah.
Hell yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
literally,
And
they
if
only
you
had
think
like
about it,
3 minutes left on the clock, and they were up by 2. And they were actually getting ready to be in field goal territory up until the point where he had to go say what he said. Hell, even Joe Burrow was pushing him like, no, bro, you're screwing this over. Shut up.
you would think, these diva wide receivers, and there's way too much jawing to the refs. There's way too much jawing to the fans when they score a touchdown. There's way too much jawing, period. I have never seen, by watching football, all my days of football, with all these receivers, especially receivers and some running backs that have to go to the fans and start yelling at the fans and acting like they want the camera all the time. It's ridiculous to me. Act like you're a winner, act like you've been there, and just go about your way, right? I mean, I don't get it anymore. Pittsburgh did end up beating Denver 13-6, so they go to 2-0. Listen, when you play against Pittsburgh, you got to pack a lunch. And that's all there is to it. Yeah, I don't care what team I don't care who you are. And a lot of teams cannot play that kind of style of football anymore. They're more finesse. They're more, we're going to do trick plays. They're more, we're going to do this. Listen, Pittsburgh ain't going to let you do all that. You either get ready to play some football and get physical, or you're going to get beat. And that's what Pittsburgh is. I am happy for the head coach. I'm glad that Tomlin is 2-0 right now, because a lot of people thought this year was going to be his worst year in his coaching career. That's not Tomlin, guys. Tomlin knows what he's doing, and he does enough to win every week. I don't care who they're playing. Denver's still got some work to do, guys. Denver has work to do.
With Pittsburgh, though, I really feel like, Tomlin took 2 shots at the pie. He brought in Wilson, then he goes out and gets Fields, brings him in. And, in all honesty, they were lucky. I mean, good. They played, Fields played pedestrian, but he did well enough to win the game. But really, when they get into the tougher teams, that's going to really start to manifest. But I got to give Tomlin mad respect. And I really feel like he's getting the most out of very little in terms of the quarterback position. That's one team. If they ever really get a true field general, that's going to be a very dangerous team.
Yeah, I agree. James. I mean,
you have to give credit to that defense. I mean, they're holding these offenses under like 10 to 6 points, man, and we're expecting a lot out of the Falcons. I don't know what they're truly like, but we have Kirk Cousins and all those weapons down there, but they held them. They only scored field goals. They've scored 5 field goals, or 4 field goals, or five. Yeah, and they won the game. So I'm impressed, like he said, with what Tomlin is doing down there. With little, like you said, with what little they have down there, as far as at the quarterback position, they have a great running game too. So you got to, again, lean on the running game.
And my problem with Atlanta is they should not have had Kirk Cousins in week 1. You got to remember, this guy goes down with an Achilles injury mid-season. At a minimum, it's a 10 to 12 month recovery period. And look, this guy's 36, so he's not healing up like a young guy. So you rush him back. Really, in all essence, it should have been Penix that should have been starting week 1, because, like I said, Kirk Cousins physically was not ready to be on that field, and it showed in week 1.
It did. And they get, and he can't play in. When it's the lights are the brightest, Kirk Cousins can't play well. I don't care if he's healthy. He has enough problems when it's Sunday night, Monday night, or opening game. It's a big time. Kirk Cousins, for some reason, I don't know if he tries too hard. I don't know what it is. Maybe he throws some stupid passes. Maybe he's trying too hard to win the game. I don't know. But it seems like Kirk Cousins, and Jay, I think Kirk Cousins was playing hurt. He didn't look right. He didn't look right when he threw it, when he wasn't hit. But man, I mean, they did put a hurting on him. We got Chicago and Houston tonight. Now, James has a poster of Caleb Williams hanging in his living room. He loves Caleb Williams. He really does. He thinks he's going to be a superstar. He thinks he's going to be a Hall of Famer in about 3 years. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but anyway. I hope you don't think
that, James. I hope you don't think. I'm assuming that Mac is just playing with you.
Yes, a little bit.
Absolutely,
a little bit. Last week, Caleb Williams really had a rough go at it. He played against the Tennessee Titans. He's playing against a legitimate Super Bowl contender this week with a great running game, a great quarterback, a very good defense, a very good head coach. If Caleb Williams does not perform tonight, Houston's going to have an easy night. I'm telling you straight up, James.
Well, I'm sorry. Any quarterback when he's in college says that he wants a certain percentage of a franchise in order for him to come to it, automatically tells you that he is full of BS. And I think it showed in week 1 when this guy didn't even throw 100 yards. He was less than 100 yards passing. And yet you want a percentage of a franchise? What? What franchise do you want a percentage of? The little leagues? Because that's about what you earn right now. Sure, you're good on the field.
I think he's going to bounce back. Now, mind you, it's going to be a hard way going because he doesn't have Rome Odunze, nor does he have Keenan Allen, but he still has weapons there. I just think they got Swift, and he has DJ Moore and Cole Kmet, the tight end. So I still think they can do well, but that's a tough team they're going to play. So he's got a tough one to go up against.
I tell you, James, just listening to the take you gave me makes me know what type of person you are. That means you're a very optimistic person. You are probably one of those optimistic people I have ever met in my entire life. You're either optimistic or you're in denial. One of the two. And if you're in denial, you're the Cowboys fan base. We can use one more of this.
I've said it before. There's always a silver lining when it comes to James. There's always a silver lining, even when they don't perform well. He's always looking for something. So that's tonight's game. Monday night, we talked about Atlanta. They're playing Philadelphia in Philadelphia. It's not a good if Atlanta cannot protect Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins plays like he normally plays at nighttime, and he is hurt, Penix better get in there because Philadelphia is going to run the ball. They're going to throw the ball. Their defense is going to put a lot of pressure on them. It does not look good for Atlanta this Monday if Penix doesn't play.
But AJ Brown is out though.
Yeah, and I really thought Penix was probably one of the most pro-ready QBs in this draft. And he's a smart guy. He's intelligent. He has good ball plays. But the only downside to him, and it's not his fault, it's just those knees of his aren't exactly the best. So he's not going to be the most prototypical running guy that can scramble and get out of things. But he's a great pocket passer. And if that offensive line can just give him a little bit of protection, he's got some decent weapons. And hopefully he can get Drake London involved, because London, obviously because of the lack of passing yards, wasn't involved. And this guy really needs to be him and Kyle Pitts. I think Kyle Pitts has been given a huge disservice because he's a big-time guy, but they just don't get him involved nearly enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I still think Kirk Cousins is going to bounce back. They played against a really dominant defense in his first game out in Pittsburgh. And they're showing that they're still dominant, even though they play the Broncos. But I like to see, I think they have the weapons there. Kirk Cousins, he didn't play any preseason games. I think some of that is rust. And I see the formation that they put him in. They put him in the pistol, I think. And he wasn't doing well in that. But I think that's mostly to try to, they're trying to protect him or limit his
That's what I'm saying, because he normally plays under center, and I think they did that to try to protect him because he's hurt. And if they're going to play him and he's hurt, he's going to get hurt worse. That makes no sense. It's early in the season. Listen, I was ticked that the Giants didn't pick up Penix. He was right there for the taking. I was upset that they didn't do that because they need a quarterback next year, and they didn't do it. And so I think I agree with Jay. I think Penix is probably one of the better quarterbacks coming out this year, and Atlanta scooped them up. So, maybe they did that because they thought Kirk Cousins wouldn't make it back in time. Maybe that's what the plan was all along, Jay. I don't know.
And I'll tell you right now, he is getting look. It's like a lamb going to slaughter. This dude's getting ready to go play the Philadelphia freaking Eagles, one of the better defenses in the league, at home in Philly. This dude, if he is not careful, he may not even make it off the game. He may wind up in a stretcher. I'm telling you, he's not well. He's not 100%. He's going to get one of the best defenses in the league, and this could be a game winner. You don't know. I'm telling you, watch.
Yeah.
Watch. It makes me nervous for the guy.
Yeah. Well, we definitely will see what happens Monday night with that. We do have a fantasy team, Jay. We are playing the NFL players. We took your top 100. We took your top 100 players and we let them pick first, and then we went like we're supposed to. Right now, we are beating the NFL players by about 30 points right now?
About 10. Right now, we're at 117.3 fantasy points, and they have 107.6 minus this week. Today's games.
That's all last week. those are the results. So what we did, Jay, is we said, listen, instead of breaking down every week the top 100, let's play against the NFL players in their top 100. So we went second, and they ended up, they got their third pick or whatever. And if they had like 3 tight ends, we gave them all 3 tight ends. We picked up our own tight ends. So we're going to see at the end of the year, of course, Christian McCaffrey is screwing everybody over, not just the NFL players. So that's why we're ahead right now by 7 points. And we'll see what happens at the end of this, because we do have some players that really scored some big points for us this week. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens at the end of this week. So
we'd be even higher if we had Saquon Barkley starting last week. He had 31 points.
See, the rule I made too, Jay, is we can't move our bench up unless they move their bench. So I'm trying to be as right. So somebody has to get hurt for people to move up. Like Christian McCaffrey. Now we can move them up, and then we can move up a player if they move up a player if we get hurt. So I try to make it as fair as possible without taking advantage of it. So it's something we're going to play all year. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So let me say one thing. I always love it when I see, unfortunately, when players go down with some serious injuries. Take for example the Nick Chubb last season's injury. Yeah. It really warms my heart to see these guys like Nick Chubb. It looks like he's going to be fine. He's running. He's doing sprints. He's soon to be back week 5. It really does make me feel good when I see these guys come back, because nobody likes to see them, number one, go down with those kinds of injuries. And I always love feel-good stories. And I feel like Nick Chubb is going to be that feel-good story, and he better be, because he's on my injury reserve. I'm just waiting for him to get help.
Are you? Let me ask you this before we go. Are you scared for Nick Chubb? That's the second time that knee got blown out. And I mean, those were gross hits put on Nick Chubb. That was the second time. Are you scared that he goes out there again, and this time it's gone? If he gets hit like that again, that knee, he may never be able to walk right again. Are you scared about that at all?
I'm about as scared for Nick Chubb as I am for really, truly any NFL player, because it only takes one bad hit for anybody to go down. Now, yes, for Nick Chubb, or even for Tua Tagovailoa, which, by the way, Tua, you need to stop him and just take your money and run, Killer, while you still know which address you live at. It's just, I get scared for any of these guys. But unfortunately, that's why they get paid what they get paid. And that's why I don't get paid millions of dollars, and they do. Now, unfortunately, sometimes those injuries can really be life-threatening, right? Like take DeMar Hamlin, for example, right? I mean, thank God they were able to revive him, and he's good, and he's going to live. Or even look at the Alex Smith injury. I mean, it happens. Those freak injuries just happen. So, I guess but unfortunately, it's the game that we play, and this game that they chose.
Yeah. We also have to ask the question about Nick Chubb and whether or not he'll come back as the same player once he comes back.
Anybody ever really come back truly 100% the same player after that type of injury? I mean, the biggest thing for Nick Chubb isn't necessarily physically coming back. The biggest thing for Nick Chubb is mentally coming back. How much of that injury going to play in him in terms of how he runs?
Yeah, that's true. And same thing with Tua. Tua says he's not retiring. When them guys start bearing down on him and they're going to sack him again, what does he do? Does he throw the interception? Does he, it's crazy to me. But it is like it's their choice. I'll tell you right now, and I said this before to James, if I'm Miami and he's coming back, I'm having him sign a paper saying 10 years from now, you cannot sue me if you're going to play. This is your choice. We're not forcing you back. You want to play. Don't come back 10 years with some brain injury and sue us. I would have that play in place before you get back on the field. I would have him.
When I think of Tua, I think of Troy Aikman. When Troy Aikman finally retired, the guy had 8 concussions, and he had 8 concussions in 12 years. Tua is almost on. He had 3 major, I think 1 minor. I look at him as having 4 concussions. He is halfway to Aikman, and he's only been in the league 3 years, 4 years, whatever.
Right.
I mean. And he's already halfway to Aikman. I mean, think about how much CTE is in his brain.
Yeah. I mean, think of Harry Carson. People don't know what happened to Harry Carson. That guy had to teach himself to talk and walk again. His brain was so screwed up. I mean, that's what he had to do to stand there and communicate with you right now. It's a dangerous game, but I'm telling you, as we're getting ready at the top of the show here, if I'm the Dolphins, I'm protecting my ass. If I'm the NFL, I'm protecting my ass and saying, you want to play? It's your decision. 10 years from now, don't come back and say, oh, it's your fault because I played football. You wanted to do that. We told you not to. And that's what I would do. Anyway, folks, end of the show. Thanks for dropping in, Jay. Appreciate you coming in. James, as always, Oh, yeah. It's always a blast having you in. Folks, stay tuned. Stay out of trouble. And, of course, you got Houston and you got Chicago playing tonight. Let's see if Caleb can play a little quarterback this game. Have a great one, folks. I'll see you tomorrow on the Mac and Jack Sports Show.